part two to a recent video that I did on women letting men lead. So I want to begin by saying thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you for your comments that always get me thinking about my next video. I appreciate the emails. If you have comments on my videos, you can post right here, or you can also email me at Christine@breakfastwithbacon.com, and I'll consider what you've written into the next video that I make. The reason I'm doing part two on this one is because I just worked with a couple last night, and the issue came up yet again. And the issue was, how do we as women let men lead? How do men lead when they're trying to love us and be good husbands, and yet nothing that you do, nothing they do seems to please us? And if it does please us, it just doesn't please us enough. So the couple that I talked with last night, when I said, okay, what are the concerns that you have? Why are you guys meeting with me? One of the first sentences out of the wife's mouth were, I want him to lead. I want him to be a better spiritual leader and lead our family. Good. I've heard that a number of times from women, which is great because that's the way God ordered it, and we should be that way anyway. And then I talked, to the husband, and he was saying he wants to lead, but he can't always please her, because if he says left, then sometimes she's upset if they don't, because she wanted to go right. If she says white, she wishes that they had gone black. If they say up, she wishes it would have gone down, and so on and so forth. So it's a very important concept in a further sentence in our conversation. This beautiful lady and this couple, they were so cute. I really enjoyed them. But what this woman said is, well, I want him to do things my way. So I want him to lead, but I also want him to do things the right way, which is code for her way. So I said to her, so you want him to lead, but you want him to lead only doing everything you would do. So basically you want to make the decisions and he's not leading at all. You want him to think exactly like you. And she smiled and she's like, I think you're right. So they were both really good, because many of the couples that I work with, it's the same thing. The women want men to lead. I don't care how 2023 we are. I don't care how alpha female you are. If you're a strong woman, you want an even stronger man. Every woman I've ever met, I have never, ever in my 58 years met a woman who said, I want a man to be weaker than me, and I want to control him, and I want to tell him what to do, and I'll be so happy. No, she wants to be strong and large and in charge, but she wants him to be even stronger. But we have got to remember to do our part. So if you've purchased a copy of my book, The Super Couple, A Formula for Extreme Happiness in Marriage, there is a part in there, page 157, I think. Crazy that I remember the numbers. And it talks about the oxytocin-testosterone cycle. The oxytocin-testosterone cycle is a beautiful thing, something God created. Again, everything is God. This isn't just some magical secular science thing. This is God's way of the two shall be as one. Testosterone is a man's happy hormone. Testosterone gives a man strength and energy and independence, and that alone gives him the desire to work and spend his energy on his wife. Well, what happens is, as a man, remember it's a cycle. So the man takes his testosterone, does something for his wife. She wanted him to install the French doors. So he's like, you know what, that'll make my wife happy. I'm gonna go install the French doors. So he does that. Makes the wife happy. Okay, so the first part, does something for the wife, makes the wife happy. Her oxytocin goes up, and I'll talk about her happy hormone in a moment. Oxytocin, known as the cuddle hormone, is what makes a woman just as happy as testosterone makes men. When her oxytocin goes up and she's happy, and this is the one piece in this cycle that is huge. It's teeny tiny in one sense, but huge in its outcome. And it's a one thing we women forget. So man pleases his wife, does something for her, right? She feels happy. Her oxytocin goes up. She tells the man, I really appreciate it. Thank you. You made me happy. I'll come back to that because that's the part that's usually missing. Man feels wife is happy and the source of her happiness. When a man feels that he is the source of his wife's happiness, then his testosterone goes up. So if she's happy, but it's nothing he did, he's fine to be happy, but he's like, nothing I can do can please her, actually has a reverse effect. His testosterone drops and he doesn't have energy. He gets flooded with a hormone that shuts him down, and he's like, whatever. So the very thing that we women are trying to get men to do is the very thing that we are unable to do because we are not showing that tiny little thing. I really appreciate that you did those French doors. It meant a lot to me. I once talked to a man and I found out that he watches these videos, so maybe recognize yourself in this. But he was a command master chief on one of the ships that I used to ride home. And I was talking about the difference between women wanted to be loved and men wanted to be respected. And I did this big talk and he's like, you know, Christine, you are absolutely right. And he talked about coming back from a deployment. And he said, you know, when I came back from the 7-month deployment, my wife said, I love you, I love you, I love you, oh, I love you. And he said, she must have said to me 100 times, I love you. And that was nice. He said, but in the conversation at some point within the first day or two of me coming back, she said, you know what? I'm so glad you installed the French doors before I left. Made my life so much easier. He said, here it is weeks later. And that one, I appreciate. He said, I'm still floating on it. And I have quizzed other men. I've talked to other men in these trainings, and they all say the same thing. Ladies, all you have to do is watch your mouth. Yeah, he may not have done things the way you would. Maybe he helped you with the dishes, but they're greasy. My husband man cleans all the time. If you point out the fact that he man cleaned and you negate the fact that he helped with the dishes, you've blown it. His testosterone drops. This isn't his fault. This is the way God made him. His testosterone drops. If you notice that he swept the house, that he didn't do it right, because again, he man cleans, and you point out what he missed, and you didn't point out, thanks, honey. You're blowing it. I know us ladies, we didn't know, and that's why I'm here to teach you. We didn't know, you didn't know, I didn't know. So there's no blame coming from me. But what I'm trying to talk to you about is this oxytocin testosterone cycle that is very real, very scientific. In the middle of the cycle that I put in my book, it says this phrase that I used to loathe. And the phrase says, happy wife, happy life. I'm like, happy wife, happy life. And I hated it because it made it sound like we're a bunch of prima donnas. Until I found out that it's actually true. If a husband can make his wife happy, and again, he believes he's the source of your happiness, his testosterone goes up. She's happy, I'm happy. Men are happy because God says men love your wife as Jesus loves the church. Love her as you love your own body. Care for her. It's like, my wife's happy. I'm happy. I am a good man. Make wife happy. Good caveman. Okay, get off me for all my old jokes, right? But it's so simple. So for you men, try your hardest to please her. Do what you need to do. Right? It will bless you. And this, I will circle right back to men taking the lead. Ladies, this one's for you. You want to watch a tremendous change in your man? You want to watch a ginormous change? Well, then your job is to notice everything he's doing right, even if it's small. Realize he's doing it for you. Does he work his butt off all day at work? Thank him. Not like some fake things you're going to work, but some really like, you know what, hon? I have a colleague. She cannot get her husband to keep a job longer than, 6, 7, 8 months. Thank you. I never have to worry about you providing. Testosterone increases. Thank you, honey, for, I don't know, what can we come up with? Thanks for putting the kids down. But what we women will often say is, it's your kids too, you should have put them down. But he did. We have no problem thanking our girlfriends for things that they do. Why can't we thank our spouses? Why can't we notice? Sure, they're his kids. Here's the thing about this cycle. If he thanked you, honey, thank you for putting the kids down, which he should. Did you realize that this cycle doesn't go the other way? If a man pleases his wife, your oxytocin doesn't go up just because, or excuse me, if you seek to love your husband more, that's what I meant to say, your oxytocin doesn't go up. You don't get rewarded for loving him, doing things for him, because that's the way women were wired. Men are not wired to help and serve us, love us. That's why the Bible says, men, love your wives. Women, respect your husbands. God is saying, men, it's hard for you to love because love is all these nice things. Be patient, kind, put her needs before your own. It's like, whoa. But God says, I will reward you for doing that. And how am I going to reward you? God is so freaking amazing. He doesn't just reward us in heaven. He rewards you physically on earth. I'm going to give you, men, the heads of the household, this physiological boost of energy, this testosterone, as a gift for pleasing your wife. Now seek to please her again and again and again and again. Women, notice. So we come back to this desiring men to be the heads of the family. I want you to lead me. You cannot just constantly be on him when he makes a mistake. He's going to make a mistake because he's not inhuman. He is human. He's going to make mistakes. So are you. But when you make mistakes, you expect grace. And yet if you say, you make that decision, honey. You're the head. I trust you. You may make a mistake, but I know your intentions are good. And if he blows it, you don't rub it in his face. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I wasn't happy with that, but you know what? You'll do better next time. I know your intentions were pure. And when he does well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because so many of us women want our husbands to also be the spiritual leaders in the family. And yet we berate them. Maybe we don't berate them. Maybe we're constantly, you got a man who's here in his faith, and you're here, and you're never happy unless he's here. That one I see all the time too. Be happy. He's going in the right direction. All of us find God at different rates. Instead of comparing, and this kind of goes both ways, men and women, but instead of comparing where he is right now, why don't you look to where you used to be 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and realize all the things that you had to go through to get there? Everyone gets there in their own time. Your job, if you want your husband to be the spiritual leader, is to constantly encourage him, thank him for whatever he does spiritually. Even if you're ahead of him spiritually. Thank you, honey. I'm so glad you come to church with us. If he doesn't go to church with you, well, I'm opening in my mind a whole bigger conversation. I'll take that another direction another time. The goal of this is, ladies, let your husbands lead. And in order for him to lead, you've got to stop controlling his decisions. He's going to make decisions different than yours. Just like you make decisions different than his. It doesn't mean he's not loving you. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. It means he's doing his best. And your job is to keep on encouraging him to make more good decisions. We're inhuman. We're imperfect. We're all human. Your job as a spouse is to extend grace and love. To be selfless, to communicate, to respect, to encourage, and to be deliberate. Just like my super couples, and realizing it's going to take work. All right, so I hope this part 2 wasn't too long, because part 2s are supposed to be really small. My videos are never small. Hope it helps, though. Love to hear from you. Post right here. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. You've been watching another informational Bacon Bit, and I want to remind you always to live your life. You know the words, right? Sunny side up.